for everybody's favorite guessing game, What's My Line? Brought to you by Helene Curtis, makers of Starfette, Suave, and Endon Dandruff Treatment Shampoo. Now, let's all play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the delightful star of stage and television, Miss Arlene Francis.
And now a gentleman who is heard but not seen every night on radio. Tonight, fortunately, will be seen and heard on What's My Line, Mr. Robert Q. Lewis.
To my left, a very lovely lady, the Broadway columnist and flaming redhead, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And on my left, our Random House publisher, who also writes a column this week, Mr. Bennett, Cerf.
If you notice Dorothy and Arlene limping in tonight, both of them have one shoe off, hoping that Prince Charming will bring their glass slipper to them. And here comes Prince Charming now, Prince John Charles David.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. Once again tonight, we've invited some nice people to come and visit us and bring with them some interesting occupations, and it's our hope that we'll give the panel a rather rough time of it. We'll also have a famous mystery guest before this panel of ours in a little while, and we'll meet our first challenger in just one. And now let's meet our first contestant. Will you come in and sign in, please? A lot of heavy coals in the audience. Yvonne Gaines, is that right? Is it Miss or Mrs. Gaines?
It's Mrs.
Mrs. Gaines, and where are you from?
New York City.
New York City, Mrs. Gaines, then you perhaps find the panel somewhat familiar.
Yes,
We'll
I
introduce
do.
you formally. Will you come over here, please, and sit down with me? Are you also familiar with the way we keep score?
Yes, I am.
All right, then let's go ahead now and tell everybody at home and those who have been nice enough to come and join us in the theater exactly what your line is. All right. Panel, Mrs. Gaines is self-employed, and let's begin the general questioning with Miss Francis.
Mrs. Gaines, your services used by both men and women?
Yes, they are.
Do they come to you?
Yes, they do.
Do you have a product of any kind in your work, Mrs. Gaines?
Yes, there is a product. I would say that it's perhaps to be considered incidental to the service.
Do you use the product yourself, Mrs. Gaines?
More confident.
I could.
Do you touch the people that you deal with?
Do you touch the people that you deal with? I would.
Well, I shake hands with them.
That's nice.
I do.
Is there anything in your work other than people, such as animal of any kind? Is there anything in the animal family in your work?
Yes, I've
four-legged
seen.
animals?
Beg pardon?
Four-legged.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Is it a domestic animal?
Yes.
Is it the animal that you help more than the person?
Oh, I wouldn't.
I would think, in practical terms, we might agree that it was the animal that was more directly helped, yes.
Uh-huh. Is the animal one that one might have in the house?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Is it larger than a chihuahua? Isn't everything?
I was going to say, Arlene, you're pretty safe with that one. I guess we could admit it's larger than a Chihuahua.
Yes, I suppose so.
Is it a dog?
Yes.
Yes.
I think so.
Are you dubious about this animal, Charles? Bonnie Prince Charles?
Dr. Dubious is not with us tonight, no.
Well, then, may I ask, do you do something in your service to the animal?
Yes.
Do you barber shop it in any way?
Yes.
Do you clip the animal? In a nice sort of way, I mean, not... Are you a dog barber? Or is that part of your work? Beautician, oh my, what a gaffe.
I'm afraid we've got to throw in the towel, Mrs. Gaines. It looks like we've been...
Gaines Dog Food is what gave me the clue.
You shouldn't have that name. Actually, we must admit, Mrs. Gaines runs Chez Beau, a beauty salon for dogs.
Well, there you go.
Actually, Miss Arlene, just to show you the irony of life, Mrs. Gaines said you could tell her that my husband is a designer. It's not the dog food at all.
Sorry.
What does he design?
He designs dresses for women.
Oh, see there. And then...
Lawrence Gaines.
Oh, and one thing that would tickle you is I asked Mrs. Gaines earlier, if there was a product involved, and she said, well, yes, we have blankets or coats for dogs. She says, we tailor-make some of them.
Yes,
How
we do. They're
smart.
rather expensive, too.
I would think so.
They are quite.
Yes. Well, Mrs. Gaines, I'm sorry that we didn't give them a rougher time of it.
I am, too. Really.
We should have changed your name to Smith.
I'm terribly disappointed.
Smith, it should have
This
been.
has
Thanks
awful
very much
fun.
for being our guest. It was nice to have you. Well, panel, I must admit, it's a brilliant beginning. Let's see what you can do with another challenger. Will you come in and sign in, please? Ivan Chance, is that right? Mr. Chance, where are you from?
I'm from London, England.
London, England. Nice to have you with us, sir.
Thank you.
Panel, Mr. Chance. There you see them in all their majesty. They're feeling pretty chipper tonight, so let's see if we can trip them up. Do you know how we keep score coming all the way from London? Actually, it's
Well, I
pretty
know that
simple.
you keep it very fairly, but I
Yes.
don't know.
Oh, we try to keep it fairly, but every time you give them a no answer, I flip a card. 10 flips, and you have won the game. Let's go for the 10 if we can. And now let's let everybody concerned except our panel know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, Mr. Chance is salaried. Let's begin the general questioning at the other end with Bennett Cerf.
Mr. Chance, I notice you're very sunburned. I take it that has nothing to do with your occupation. The sunburn that you've acquired.
That has nothing to do with my occupation, no.
That's correct.
No.
I
I acquired that over here.
You got that over here. Jolly good. Mr. Chance, you're also a fine figure of a man. Would you have anything whatever to do with the entertainment industry?
Nothing whatsoever.
That's 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Are you in the sort of occupation, Mr. Chance, that would make it necessary for you to travel?
Yes, to travel, yes.
To some extent, Arlene, yes. Let me have a small conference, will you, please? Yes. Yes, fine. Travel.
Do you work for a profit-making organization?
Yes, I'm
you must be in
self-employed.
that,
I believe that the term in England is self-employed.
But by our broad terminology, we would call Mr. Chance salaried in our broad terminology, but it's a profit-making organization.
Is there a product involved in what you do, Mr. Chance? By chance?
Yes, I would say there was.
There is a
There
product
is a
here
product.
again, though the service is, I think, more fundamental.
Do people come to you for your services?
They do indeed.
Do you work indoors?
I work indoors.
Are you ever at a desk when you work?
From time to time.
Would you perhaps I say, I am getting English in my questioning. Do you notice it? Would the place of business be other than a store?
Yes. We would not call it a store.
You wouldn't call it a
No.
store? Would there be food and drink served there?
No.
That's
I'm
two
sorry.
down and 8 to go, Mr.
Thought it was fish and chips there for a moment.
Oh, now, Geordie. Mr. Lewis, please.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chance, you say there is a product connected with what you do, but primarily it is a service that will help us more than the product.
I would say so, yes.
Well, let me ask one question about the product or products. Are they dissimilar more than similar?
They are certainly dissimilar.
Then the service you render to both men and women, was that established? Was it
the
established?
service is rendered to both men and women.
Both men and
To
women.
both men and women.
Both men
and
and
they
women.
come to you.
They come to me.
You say that you have to travel in your work. Would it be necessary for you to travel to secure the products that are connected with the service you render? Would that be the reason for your travel?
Might I consult with Mr. Daly for answering that question?
I should be delighted.
Carry on.
That's all right. The answer is yes.
I beg your pardon.
The answer is yes.
I'm delighted. Well, then, would it be safe to say, then, that you in some way service your patrons by either selling them or, well, by selling them these products for which you travel? And yet you don't work in a store.
That's a tricky one, yes.
Yes, it is,
But-
actually.
What would you say, James?
I would say that without attempting to mislead you, we would have to agree that ultimately the products, to the extent that they're involved, are purveyed to those who come to get Mr. Chance's services. Whether you would use specifically the term sell, I'm not sure. I beg your pardon. Yes.
Don't tell me he gives it away.
Well, that helps a great deal.
That's
You
fine.
say you do not work in a store, sir. Are there both... Is there a possibility, then, that there would be more than one or two people wherever you do what you do?
Yes, there's a great possibility that there'd be more than one or two people. Every possibility.
Would there be a group of people?
Yes, there would be a group of people.
Do you address this group of people in any way?
In a manner of speaking, I think that's a literal answer.
Are the
too.
products involved in what you do of a more or less valuable nature? In other words, more valuable than a bread box?
I would say so.
Do you have anything at all to do with antiques of any sort?
Yes.
And could you possibly, in your store, auction off these antiques in your place of business?
I could do.
I beg your pardon?
I could do.
Good.
You're an auctioneer.
Yes! I'm afraid so. Actually, Mr. Chance is with Christie's, I suppose as famous a name in the area of auctioneering as we will ever know. It's been in being since 17...
It's been in business since 1760, yes. Very near, just coming up for the bicentenary in 3 years' time. I hope we'll all come.
Oh, we will.
Mr. Chance, do you do the auctioning yourself?
I do the auctioning myself, yes.
Would you give us the chant? I'd like to hear if it's anything like the tobacco chant that we hear all the time.
Make believe you're auctioning off John Daly for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't auction something that was priceless.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chance. Would you say that again, please? I think some of them missed it. Mr. Chance said he couldn't auction off something that was priceless. Beg pardon? Well, Mr. Chance, I will say this. I'll not have anybody come all the way from London and not throw all the cards over because they're just a little bit too smart tonight, actually, I think.
I reckon so.
Thank you very much for being our guest. It was wonderful having you with us. That's as nice a thing, actually, as I've ever had said about me, and it makes me think, for some reason I can't think of, panel, of something one of my children said to the other tonight. If brains were dynamite, you couldn't blow your nose. And we'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a And now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity, for which I have to ask my friends on the panel to blindfold themselves. Are the blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? All right, panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery challenger, we go to a different form of questioning. You ask one question at a time in turn, moving clockwise. And let's begin with Miss Kilgallen.
Oh, John. Bennett and I have been having such a nice rest over here. The other end of the panel has been so brilliant. Well, now, did all those, I'm addressing this now to our guest, did all those wahoos and yahoos accurately signify that you were a glamorous lady?
Yes.
Could we have the guest answer, John?
Mm-hmm.
Please.
Would you say yes? Say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Say well.
Thank you.
Golly, for a moment I thought Mamie Van Doren was back. Or her aunt Irita Van Doren. Are you a movie star?
Yes.
Yes.
Miss Francis?
Are you in New York to publicize a picture that will be forthcoming?
One down and 9 to go, Mr. Lewis.
No, I'm sorry. I'd love to hear you speak.
No.
Are you, you're a motion picture star? You're a motion picture star. Oh, well, then you're not Cinderella. Have you been on television over the past weekend?
That's yes. Miss Kilgallen?
As a guest star on some other star show?
Mr. Cerf?
Well, I didn't watch any television over the weekend.
Would that show have been put on today?
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Would it have been, if CBS will forgive me, in compatible color yesterday?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Were you surrounded by many other people on the program? I pass.
Miss Kilgallen?
Were you born in Europe?
Mr. Cerf?
You ever marry an oil millionaire in Texas?
Miss Francis?
Well, shall we all say it together? I think we
most
all know.
beautiful girl in the
world. Hedy Lamarr.
Hedy Lamarr, right. I must say now, one of the prettiest compliments we've ever had. Actually, Gil Fates, our producer, told me before the show why you came on What's My Line tonight, principally.
Oh, we enjoy you all so very much, and the children always say, Mommy, please do go on this program. And here I am. So for Tony and Denise, I send a little kiss. Huh?
How about us?
Well, you too.
Well, thank you very much, Miss Hedy. That's a wonderful
Thank
reason
you.
to have you
You're
join
wonderful.
us. Hope you had a lot of
Terrible. You
fun.
never laugh or anything.
Oh, that's I do. I do. Yes, I do. Thanks a lot. Well, we're having a most difficult time trying to stick the panel tonight, but perhaps we can do it this time. Will our next challenger come in and sign in, please? Clarence B. Clarence B. Litchfield. Is that right, sir? That's right. And Mr. Litchfield, where are you from?
Mamaroneck, New York.
Mamaroneck, New York, which is in the golden county known as Westchester County.
That's right.
And this is the panel. Actually, there are some folks over there that live in Westchester, too, but let's forget it until we get us in trouble. Will you come over here and join me? You know how we keep score?
Yes.
All right, then let's let everybody here and abouts except the panel know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, Mr. Litchfield is self-employed, and we'll begin the general questioning with Robert Q. Lewis.
Mr. Litchfield, do you deal in services?
Yes.
Do you deal with both men and women?
That's right.
Would it be unusual for me to come to you for
No.
your services?
No, actually, I would say in a broad sense, it would not be impossible for you to come to Mr. Litchfield for his service.
I don't like their reaction, John. Would I be better physically for having seen you for what you do?
I think so.
No, I
No.
don't think so, Mr.
No,
I don't
that's
think
right.
so. 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Is there a product involved in what you do?
Is there a product involved? No. That's 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Litchfield, do you have to have some special training for what you do?
Yes.
Would that be some kind of a degree that you would win?
Yes.
Have you got letters then after your name, like MD or DD or LD or something of that
No.
sort?
Hello, Bennett. You didn't get down the line far enough. That makes it 3 down and 7 to go.
ABBS.
Too late, Miss Francis.
Do people come to you when they're in trouble, Mr. Litchfield?
No, I couldn't say they do. 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Lewis.
Well, it sounds like they might get in trouble for going to him. I don't know. You say, sir, that you have a degree of some sort which qualifies you for the work you do.
No, the question was, did he have to have special training? The answer to that was yes. Does he have a degree? Yes.
I see. Well, then, all right. When you work, sir, do you work indoors as opposed to outdoors?
Both.
Both.
Yes and
That
no.
makes a very interesting point that needs clarification. As opposed to outdoors, both, that will make it 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you talk to people in your work?
Do you talk to people in your work?
Yes.
You're a very friendly man, Dorothy, really.
But does he talk to them, do you, Mr. Litchfield, talk to them to some purpose, not just chatting to be social?
I don't get it. Yeah, actually, what Miss Kilgallen asks is if you talk to people to some purpose. I would say that yes, he would.
Does something happen to them that's a little offbeat after you've talked to them?
No.
No, that's 6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Litchfield, you come from Mamaroneck. Do you do your work in or about Mamaroneck?
My office is in New York City.
So that would kind of make that...
Well, that's pretty close to Mamaroneck.
Well, yeah, only about, 16 miles or so? That's 7 down and 3 to go, Miss Francis.
But you said you work inside and outside.
Both.
So that your job does not keep you at a desk, does it, Mr. Litchfield?
Not constantly, no.
People don't come to you when they are in trouble, but do you give them any sort of advice in your service?
Yes.
Do you travel in your work?
Yes.
Might you be assigned to a job that would take you from place to place?
Oh, yes.
Would somebody hire you for a job to be done for someone who doesn't know you're doing a job?
What?
Would somebody hire Mr. Litchfield for a job to be pursued on someone who does not know that Mr. Litchfield is pursuing him or her?
Oh, I see now, don't you?
Yes.
Easy way out of this. Just say no. That's 8 down and 2 to go, Mr. Lewis.
Well, I'm slightly stumped here. You travel from place to place. You say that you are both indoors and out, and you say that I could come to you to
We said it would
make
not
myself...
be impossible. But actually,
Unusual
what is
was
going to be
the question.
impossible now is to ask any more questions, because we have run out of time. It would not be impossible because Mr. Litchfield designs prisons. Now, whether you'd like to build one or not any time, Robert, I just don't know. Designs prisons. He just most recently finished
Well, isn't that a product,
new
then?
one in Brooklyn, the Brooklyn House of Detention.
John, I give you my word that's what I was thinking of, only I was thinking of jail cells. But wouldn't a prison be a product? It's an awfully big one, but it's a product.
No, because he doesn't build them. He just
Oh.
merely draws the designs for them. Mr. Litchfield, thank you very much. Nice to have had you with us in What's My Line. And just for your information, Mr. Litchfield and his firm recently completed the Brooklyn House of Detention. It has large, airy cells painted in pastel shades.
Oh, I
cheerful
can't
rectangular
wait.
rooms, large windows, and it looks like a Madison Avenue-type glass and aluminum building. With that happy thought, good night, Arlene.
Oh, I hope he has a suite for me. Good night, dear Robert.
Good night, Arlene. Good night, Dorothy.
Good night, John. And I want you to know that Bennett says that Mr. Litchfield went to college at Eli Jail. Good night, Bennett.
Good night, sweet prince.
Good night, Bennett. And good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
Travel arrangements on What's My Line are made through American Airlines. American Airlines flies our contestants in luxurious comfort aboard DC-7 flagship. This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production in association with the CBS Television Network.